Hi everyone, welcome to the Movie Section Show. My name is Fariba, and today we're about to watch episode 5 of Secret Invasion, which means we're now getting to the last episode of the series, right? So this is the penultimate episode, and after that we only have one more left, which is really insane because it just feels as if the show had just started, and it's not as if the show hasn't already been hinting that we're getting to the end of the series. I think after the last episode, it definitely implied that we're getting to the beginning and the end. But honestly, it's like we're just getting used to the series and, getting used to the vibes of, this whole show, how it definitely has a far more sophisticated political thriller aesthetic to it that definitely feels very distinguishable from some of the other MCU content we had before. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to kind of set up the beginning, the end of the series. Now, before I even dive deep into the whole analysis about this, I do want to address again the whole situation that's going on in Hollywood. There is currently now a double union strike going on with both the writers and actors unions. As you all probably already know, there was as of last week, the actor, the SAG-AFTRA had announced that they were going on strike, which has now shut down production, as well as, a lot of actors who have now stopped promoting their movies moving forward until there eventually ends up becoming a resolution to the whole situation. So having said that, I'm going to keep on saying this. I'm in solidarity with both the actors and writers who are currently going on strike. They have a very good cause for what they're doing, and I totally support what they're trying to do and trying to, amplify their voice on, the big issues that they're trying to, pinpoint. And I know there's definitely this question on whether or not, someone like me, now I am not a union, I am not part of the WGA, I'm not part of SAG-AFTRA, so I'm a non-member. In terms of my involvement, how, what I can and cannot do, in terms of the reactions and reviews that I've at least researched so far, it seems as if I am okay to do those. It's not considered crossing the line. It's definitely not scabbing because I'm not taking in any work from, any of the struck companies. But I do want to say that any of the videos that I do make, whether it be the reaction, the videos, particularly this reaction video I'm doing tonight, I want to make this very clear that I do this all of my free will. I do this during my own time. I'm not paid by any, company, studio, or anything like that. Especially for this video, I'm not being paid any services or anything like that by any of the strong companies. This is all for me just, doing what I love to do, which is talking about movies, talking about TV shows. And I feel like, at least in my past experiences, because of my passion for the movies and shows that we do, for me at least, I do get to watch, I definitely feel like I have a pretty strong reaction to things that, pop up, whether it be on the big or small screen. And so, again, I do this on my own accord. This is just my, time that I'm providing. This is me doing my own edits, doing it on my own time. I'm not paid or anything like that. Again, I'm just providing the services to no one but to you guys. So I just want to address that. I want to clear the air regarding any of this confusion or just any of this, this whole situation that's been going on. And I hope that having just said everything just now, that it definitely alleviates a lot of things that, have been going on in your mind. So now, having addressed that, let's get back down into Secret Invasion episode 5, of course. So yeah, going to episode 5, of course, it is going to be a pretty, we're definitely getting to a pretty critical point into the series now. From the last episode, there was a lot of things that we did get. There was a lot of revelations from the last episode. For one thing, we learned that, Gaia survived, because she had initially taken, I believe, the extremis chemical, or at least some sort of potion, or, underwent that whole machine that allowed her to have the extremis powers. So she was able to, revive herself as a result of that. But having said that, right, there was, of course, the big one with, Rhodey being, or at least the Rhodey that we've been seeing in the show is actually the imposter Rhodey. So as I said before, the big question is, if that was imposter Rhodey this whole time, where's the real Rhodey, right? Where is he? Where has he gone? Where are they hiding him? That's probably gonna be the big question going into the, I guess the last 2 episodes, because I feel like we should definitely get a resolution regarding that. So hopefully that will be settled by the end of, before the show ends, because again, it will lead up to Armor Wars. So again, there's a lot of importance of, the characters that we're dealing with here, especially with Rhodey and, the recent revelation about him. Now, of course, let's go right down into the last moments of the episode from last week. As we all know, we had to unfortunately endure another major death, which has now become quite a motif in this series right now. Death. We had a third death happen on the big screen, and the latest one was Talos, which is a really big deal because we all know that he's a very big character in the Secret Invasion series. I mean, we first learned about him. We were first introduced to him back in Captain Marvel. He's at least been on Earth for about roughly 28 years, I want to say, is the math. I hope my math is correct, because if Captain Marvel is 1995, and I want to say they're roughly, I guess they were roughly in 2025 at this point. So 30 years that he's been on Earth, right? And as someone who has been this leader for, the Skrulls and, trying to help them in, finding this, trying to repopulate their whole species, right? Just to see him go out like that in that fashion is definitely it's definitely a big shocker. Because it's not something that we would have expected, especially happening so soon, like here. And I think just for a lot of us, we started to really enjoy Talos as a character because of the depths of it all, his relationship with Gaia, his whole mindset, his ideologies, kind of his mentality of how he's trying to execute this whole plan of helping out his whole species, his whole group of people, right? And just to see his fate end up like that, right? I think it definitely was quite the shocker. I think going into this episode, of course, if Talos' death ends up becoming permanent, it definitely means that it's going to have a big impact on Gaia, because as we all remembered, even though things kind of, eased up a little bit between Gaia and Talos in terms of the relationship, because before then, it was definitely a very tense one. But after having, seeing Gaia kind of, turn on Gravik, and realizing that his whole plans are too extreme and too radical to the point where she, understands that it goes against her own consciousness, her own moral compass of, what's going on, that she had turned on him and started to, spy and kind of be the mole for her father. So, but even that being the case, she still has her own beliefs of what needs to be done. She understands the risk of what they're trying to pursue, or at least Talos's, at least his idea of what he wants to do to kind of set this relationship, set this diplomacy between the humans, or at least the Earthlings and the Skrulls. And it definitely is going to be a very big challenge, a challenge that, it definitely is going to take a lot of getting used to, and let alone just the acceptance of it. But yeah, we saw that even then from the last episode, there's still definitely this disagreement in their ideology, or at least their viewpoint of how they want to tackle the whole situation with their own group of people. And even that being the case, right? That's how things ended for Talos and Gaia, right? So just to see that if Talos' death is certain, it's definitive, if it's permanent, right? It's definitely gonna have a big impact on Gaia. I can't even imagine how she's going to react to his death. As I said before, I think if anything, this could be a really critical point, which means that this could be the moment where we will see Gaia, stand up, become the leader that, that she didn't initially think she would, but maybe this will be the time for her to step up. And I think in that case, that might be the case that we're going to be seeing here in this episode, where Gaia is going to have quite, a moment where she's going to have a lot of things hit upon her, of course, but for her to really finally get to understand and finalize where she wants to be in terms of this whole battle that she's been involved in. So yeah, that's one thing I feel like it's going to be a big point. Not sure where Nick Fury is going to be going. I think, again, if there's one thing, it's going to be the Rhodey situation, because again, we don't know where he is. The fact that, at least this fraction of Skrulls were trying to assassinate the president, although under the disguise of Russian. So that's going to be very interesting. I mean, having now just mentioned that, there's definitely going to be some very heated clash between the United States and Russia based upon this episode, or at least the last episode, because of, Gravik's plan. We'll see how it all goes, knowing that we are getting down to the last 2 episodes. And after tonight's episode, we're just going to have 1 more episode left. So yeah, I think I basically have touched upon everything I needed to say. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right down into episode 5 of Secret Invasion.
Sir, you need to make a space.
This was not the Russians. It was not.
Sir, I'll crack his chest. You take the laparotomy.
You think you can tolerate it? Whatever you do not trust Colonel Rhodes.
His pulse is dropping. Let's go.
Sir, do you have the
because it's an imposter
Then stay
rodeo.
outside.
There goes the propaganda.
You had another chance to kill Fury today, and you didn't take it.
Because he has what we need.
Explain it to us. You told me Fury hid the Avengers' DNA, but it wasn't in any of the locations you provided. Fury never
DNA?
trusted you, and it makes me
What?
start to wonder, why should we?
Whoa.
Hagen thought he had a voice. But none of you do. You're faceless. And you're nameless. And the only reason Fury was on that motorway was because his traitor wife defied my direct order. Do you
He's going
understand?
tyrannical.
Well, then you send some of our people to Vara's house. No. This is leverage, rather. Fury doesn't want to see World War III or to see innocent Skrulls die. Let me answer.
And if we don't get what we want?
Well, then we all do what we've prepared for. Sacrifice.
Oh.
Where's the president?
The footage of you killing Maria Hill is gonna lead off every news program all across the hemisphere. That's right. And you're gonna become the most wanted and hated man on the planet.
You didn't.
Oh, yeah. I did.
Oh,
I really,
dang.
really did.
This is becoming very infuriating.
So TikTok, Nick.
What have you done?
Just showing Director Weatherby's true colours. Come and look at that. I
Ah!
must inform you that the SIS has no official policy on killing Skrulls. So unless you want me to enact my personal preference right now, you should start talking.
What's on your mind, soldier?
I was just a little confused.
What are you confused about?
His consciousness.
Pagan.
I mean, he's kind of gone a bit psychotic, but yeah. Oh, snap! Retaliation! Who would have thought that? And defying his leadership. Wow. Nice. Oh! Oh! They. Oh! I forgot he got superpowers. Wow, he has definitely gone out of control.
Who else?
I'm nothing but a monster.
Shit.
Struggle. He did not lose.
You cannot let grief paralyze you, Gaia. This is your time now.
Right?
Hello, Skrulls.
Oh.
Who are you? Cake or death?
Get out.
Oh, this is quite the clerical error. Nigel, We're going to have someone in admin either fired or, shot, because this is becoming a bit of a health hazard.
No, my name's Victor.
No, of course you are. Nigel's the one with his silencer pressed against the base of your skull. Ooh, there he is. Would you like to take a seat?
Oh man, I love Olivia Colman.
Now, from these samples, would you like to tell me all about it?
No, I work here as fast as you
Not you. Dr. Dalton, you.
I love her
My
attitude.
work is very involved.
I won't let her betray Gravik. Let us go, or I'll kill her.
Oh, I don't doubt you for a moment. The males in my species are very similar. If they're not busy gaslighting you, they're threatening you with murder. That's what all the podcasts are about.
Dang! Oh my god, the violence in the show. Wow.
I would rather us face a war than extinction, and that's exactly what a Skrull invasion will mean. We have to cut this thing off at the head.
That is not how
And
Rhodey
now-
would talk. This is not how Rhodey talks. He should know. This is not how Rhodey would talk about this stuff.
An
It's
Interpol red note.
This guy!
Wow. They don't just give those out to anyone. Kudos.
Yeah, well,
Whoa.
Mama always said
We haven't seen him since Black
Mama
Widow.
was right.
Yo, I haven't seen him since Black Widow.
You seem a little grumpy.
Well, I guess we are seeing some more familiar faces. And he seems like a very reliable dude. I mean, we've seen what he's done in Black Widow, so... Oh my god, sounds like she's speaking Valyrian right now.
I told him he was a failure.
Reading a book, letting the sun kiss his skin, and I get lost just watching him like that for hours.
Oh, okay.
You ever get lost watching you in your own skin?
That's none of your business.
I didn't mean to offend.
Of course you did. You're young. You think you know everything, but you don't know what it takes to build a life with someone else, to sustain it. And my happiness than to meet them running down some dark alley.
Oh, shit. I knew it was gonna happen at some point.
Good.
Yo, guy is super trained. Don't tell me that's Fury. Did he pull like a Mission Impossible with the mask wear?
This what we're doing?
Yes, this is absolutely what we're doing. Seatbelt, please. Off we go. These days. Why in God's name would Gravik want to blow up his own people?
Leverage. If I don't give Gravik the harvest, then Rhodey is going to incinerate the Skrull compound, including all the Skrulls and humans trapped inside. Rush, even Carol Danvers. In the aftermath, some were sent in to collect that DNA. Some with the ability to blend in. Nobody knew about them but me and the collectors, led by
Gravik.
Gravik, yes, which is probably where he got the idea for the Super Skrull machine.
Frick? What?
So you are responsible for all this?
Yeah. You taught me that song.
Fury,
it's
why
been
haven't
that
you called
long.
any of your special friends down?
Special friends. So
This is personal.
Don't you have another one of these?
Oh, I got these all over the place.
Dead men need options.
Okay.
Why Finland?
Oh, is it the? Oh, he's wearing. Is he wearing his old suit? No, I don't know. I gotta see. Oh, oh my god. Oh, no way. He's putting back his old suit. Even putting on the patch.
It's time. Let's finish this.
Who is he communicating to? This one that was Gravik? I don't know. So that was episode 5 of Secret Invasion. And yeah, there is a lot of things to kind of process, of course. I mean, for one thing, it's definitely become quite a tricky situation knowing, Fury's current circumstance that's going on right now. Of course, for one thing, he's now public enemy number 1. So things are about to get pretty interesting going into the finale. I mean, even the actual president, I guess, isn't has to deem him as an enemy. So lots of things going on right there. The one thing, of course, is seeing that it seems as if he's basically putting back his old suit from before Winter Soldier. So putting back that, that, I guess you can say the coat, the leather coat, the eye patch, of course. That's definitely a big one right there. Looks like we're finally kind of getting back the older Nick Fury from, his pre-death in Winter Soldier. So that was really nice to see. I mean, that's going to be interesting to kind of see what's going to happen right there. I'll talk about the call in a second, but let me talk about Gaia, of course. I mean, as I had assumed it was going to be the case, she's definitely going to try and grieve over her father's death. She was able to have a funeral for him. The fact that she spoke with Priscilla about it, understanding kind of his perspective and keeping her mind open about, what she should kind of consider knowing what has happened. And I mean, we saw right there, right? For one thing, she helped Priscilla survive. I guess the second question is going to be kind of her legacy moving forward, her choices. And again, I'm going to stick with what I believe is going to be the case, is that, with her father's death, with, Gravik kind of getting out of control now, I would assume that at some point Gaia might become a future leader for the Skrulls, especially in a way that in a pursuit that is far more similar to what her father had imagined, that, the struggle of it all, but doing so in a way that it is moral, ethical, in a way that it is, it will be beneficial for both sides of the aisle, so both the humans and the Skrulls, where they can both coexist on Earth. So that's probably going to be a thing that she would have to really, consider. This is going to be her way of determining whether or not this is the legacy that she wants, and this is what she wants for the future of her people. So we'll see how it goes, because again, they kind of still keep things open a little bit going into the finale, that, Gaia's still trying to search for what she believes is the right thing to do. And I think we are kind of edging more and more to the fact that she is, it seems as if she's going to be following more in her father's footsteps than what Gravik's trying to do. We'll see about that, of course. Again, that's just all assumptions and speculations on what Gaia will be doing moving forward. But I think, having seen the course of her arc so far, I think that's what I believe, or at least that's what's kind of indicating would be the direction for her arc right there. So that's one thing I want to say about that storyline. Of course, let's talk about Gravik just a little bit, because he's now gotten out of control. He's become very tyrannical. He is really just taking extreme measures, right? He is getting to a point where now he's willing to sacrifice his own people for leverage to hurt Nick Fury in that sense, knowing that, Fury is close to, members of the Skrull, not organization, but Skrull population, that, the last thing he wants is bloodshed, not just with humans, but also the Skrulls, right? So definitely leading to this really big dilemma going into finale, that, he has so much of this, advantage for himself, that, he can hurt him in any way that, it is definitely it kind of pushed Nick to a point where he needs to take matters to his own hands and, having to really, consider, I guess you can say in a sense, resurrecting the Nick Fury as we saw, right, in the final moments of the episode. So, but yeah, even with that being said, just seeing what Gravik had done to some of the members of his organization, right, his fraction, killing off members who clearly knew right away that, what they were doing was completely wrong, right? What they had done with Pagan was definitely kind of, was basically kind of it. It was crossing the line, basically. So, yeah, a lot of developments right there. We'll see how it all goes, in terms of Gravik's pursuit and how we're going to see kind of this lead up to Gravik versus a Nick Fury battle that, I feel like as of this point is inevitable. The big question, of course, is going to be the whole Rhodey situation, because I think that's still the number one question, Rhodey. Because technically speaking, this is imposter Rhodey that we're seeing here. We don't know where the real Rhodey is, but this is imposter Rhodey. Imposter Rhodey is the one who's making the shots, making the calls. And so therefore he is the one who is really pushing the idea, the plan forward that, Gravik has initiated. And so we'll see where that goes as well. Again, literally Sonya's wait, that was imposter Rhodey. So we'll see where that goes, of course. I think, again, I have to say Olivia Colman is great as ever. Definitely, it was definitely missing something in the last few episodes, having no Sonya. And now that she came back, again, I just love her energy. I love her, her mannerism dealing with the Skrulls, how she was able to pinpoint some of them. Again, what a fresh breath of air for her to come back in this episode, and seeing her collaborating with Fury. Very interesting to see where it's going to go, especially considering that it seems as if they have a very friendly but professional relationship. So again, we'll see where that goes. I think I pinpointed everything from that. So yeah, let's go right down to the end of the episode, which I feel like it's the big thing. For one thing, of course, we're learning about this thing called the harvest, right? Apparently this is a thing that's supposed to be kind of giving the immense power, I guess. It has the DNAs of not just anybody, but the DNAs of the Avengers from, I believe, what was being detailed here. So that's a very huge thing. That's a very scary thing, to allow the Skrulls have their hands on that. The fact that, again, I feel like there might be implication that there might already be some Avengers who could already be Skrulls. That, I feel like there's been a theory about this for a while. This is something that has happened in the comics, of course, so it's not like as if this is the first time we're dealing with this. This is something that's happened in the comics, so this is actually very well known. Very interested to see how this is something that could, we could see as, a plot, or at least a storyline in any future Marvel movies. Because I don't think we're gonna actually see anything in terms of any specific Avenger who are actually imposter, version of themselves. I don't think we're gonna see that aside from Rhodey, of course. We'll see about that. I'm not gonna say that's for certain. I'll still keep my eye open about that, but I feel like as of this point, again, he's been implying so many times in the show that, he could have called his friends, he could have called the Avengers, but he decides not to because it's his own matter. It is his own, fight to deal with, that he doesn't want to bring in other, parties to get involved. Even in this case, he even says something about how, some of them should have their own lives, right? I think that's kind of implying, for one thing, of course, Captain America, he went back in time to, finally have the life that, he always wanted, having to finally make that selfish choice for himself that he's never been able to do for so long. And now he's doing what he wants to do. And that is something that he, makes him happy, right? So that's just one example that came right out of my head, when he mentioned that. So, we'll see how it goes. Again, I don't think we're going to see any, Avengers or anything like that aside from, again, Rhodey. But again, the big question is going to be, where is Rhodey? Where is the real Rhodey? Again, how they're going to stop all of this, what's going to be the plan for it. Definitely, again, in terms of the call, again, I'm assuming the person that, Fury was talking to was probably Gravik. I don't think this implied like anybody like the Avengers, anything like that, who, you know, will be, you know, standing by him. I mean, it could be Gaia. I mean, who knows? I don't know who that phone call is. It could be about anybody. I highly doubt it is the Avengers or any like, you know, superpowered being. I highly doubt about that. There is a possibility that it could be, you know, Monica, but again, there's definitely kind of that, you know, there's definitely this eeriness in terms of, or not eeriness, but in terms of this ambiguity in terms of where the timeline is between WandaVision and this show. So again, I'm not sure as of this point if Fury is already aware of Monica. We'll see about that. I mean, we know by, you know, having seen the Marvel trailers, like the Marvel trailer, that, you know, eventually they do become associated, but I don't know if by this point they have. So lots of questions going into the final episode. Definitely like kind of having to think about what has already happened so far in the MCU since Avengers Endgame, because a lot has happened since Avengers Endgame. I mean, I believe this is what, the 6 or 7 series on Disney Plus now, as well as the fact that we've had at least about a good like 7-8 movies since. So we'll see how it all goes. Again, I think going into the final episode, or yeah, I mean, this is now the penultimate episode right here. We only have one episode left. That's supposed to conclude everything that we've had. I was a bit surprised again that we did get a shorter episode today, which was about, I think, 39 minutes. But like, if you take out like, you know, the flash, you know, the recap, the opening credits, as well as the ending credits, I would say this was probably roughly like 32 to 33 minutes. So this is a pretty short episode that we typically have seen with Disney Plus shows. I wonder if the finale is going to be a far more longer one like that we've seen the first 2 episodes that were like almost near an hour. I'm going to assume hopefully that's going to be the case for the final episode, because I feel like there's still a lot of answers. I feel like there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And I think that there's a lot of things that need to develop before they really get down to kind of the final act of the series. We'll see how that goes. But like, again, I think at least with this show, I definitely feel like in comparison to other MCU shows that we've had so far, I feel like this is definitely the one that has been one of the more better, well-paced ones, just because we are getting a definitive, you know, first act, second act, and now the final act. This definitely feels like we're getting kind of this, at least this momentum and this build up, in a way that doesn't feel too fast or too slow. I mean, there's still a little bit of an issue with the pacing here and there, especially like going into like the last 2 episodes that we've had before. But even then, at least here, it's like, I know for a fact we are getting to the end, right? So, and it feels like we're kind of getting into a very good point of concluding, you know, the plot, the final story that we've been seeing so far. So, yeah, I mean, I think that basically wraps up everything I have to say about it. I think, again, there's a lot of questions going into the final episode. Where's Rhodey? What's going to happen? Who did Fury call? I'm assuming again it's probably Gravik or somebody who he is an ally with, but I highly doubt it's an Avenger. What this harvest is in general, like, I'd like to know more details about it, even though he kind of already gave a pretty good summary about it. I would like to know more, and especially again seeing other things that are going to happen, of course, like, you know, what the president's going to do. Are we actually going to see any big players in general? Like, maybe I might be wrong about it. Like, we'll see about that. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good setup going into the final episode. So I think that basically wraps up what I had to say about episode 5 of Secret Invasion. What are your thoughts about it? Now that we're getting into the final episode, what are your final theories? What are your final predictions going into the last episode? What are your thoughts about the development so far? How do you think about the show in general? Like, if you were to compare this to the other MCU shows that we've had so far, where would you rank it? Do you think it's maybe one of the better ones that have a much better development in story, or maybe, you know, it still doesn't really kind of edge in terms of the quality that we want? And having said that, what do you think about this show in terms of its impact moving forward in terms of the MCU? Like, do we think that this will imply something far more about the the Skull Invasion storyline that we've seen in the comments before? Like, is this implying something for the future? And as well as the fact that what are we going to expect in terms of the impact of the series in general? Let me know in the comments down below and make sure to like and subscribe.